Hello true believers, welcome to my channel Mr. Miracle Comics. My name is Dave and today we have 5 more undervalued comic books for us to take a look at. Alright, so lots of stuff in the works right now for Marvel that's going on, DC stuff that's going on, the Flashpoint movies coming, Hawkeye's coming up in just a few weeks. There's already starting to get lots of speculation around that Hawkeye movie. Definitely, you know, as soon as that trailer dropped, of course, right, everything went ballistic about Hawkeye, so we'll see. We'll see if it drives the spec the same that Loki did. I mean, Loki, you know, really stuff was going crazy in the spec world during that whole run of the Loki on Disney Plus. What else came out? Venom 2 came out, and I haven't seen it myself, but I'm getting mixed stuff. My daughter went to see it. Now, my daughter's not a comic book fan in the sense that she reads comic books. I don't think she's ever read a superhero comic book in her life. But she does like the movies. She likes going to those MCU shows and, you know, watching them in the movies. So that's her only exposure to comic book characters and comic books, really on any kind of scale. And she liked it, right? So I think there'll be a lot of people that have that similar background that are movie fans, not necessarily comic book fans. And they might like that movie. I've heard some disappointing stuff from comic book fans, and you know, along the same lines as the first movie, which was, you know, I thought was a little lacking myself. That's just seems like a really weird Venom to me. The movie itself wasn't bad. It was just the way they treated the characters that I was just like, it just, yeah. Anyway, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad myself. Of course, that wouldn't be fair, but, you know, I'm just saying what other people have told me, so I'm like, I'll still go see it. I'll go see it. Like I said, you know, Hawkeye, driving those spec books. So here's a book, right? This book's already starting to see a rise because of Kate Bishop, right? And you can, like, hopefully you've been following along with me for the last few years, and you bought this book back when it was a $25 book, and I was recommending people buy it. Of course, you know, that's how much I paid for mine as part of my undervalued pickups. I'm holding on to this for a little while longer. You never know if Kate Bishop ends up becoming like a full Avenger and then moving on. Not just maybe they skip over the Young Avengers. Maybe they have a Young Avengers movie or something. You can definitely, you know, see her first appearance taking a bit more of a jump. But other stuff, lots of stuff from that 2010 Hawkeye series. Don't quote me on that date, but you know, there's lots of stuff that seems to be that people are pulling from there. Anyway, let's get on to our 5 comic books, undervalued comic books. And yeah, so the first one I picked on my list, Copper Age book, comes from 1987, and it is the Transformers Headmasters #1. Now, this book has a plethora of first appearance characters. I mean, there's almost as many first appearance of characters here as in the first, as in #1 from the series. I mean, I'm going to read it off the internet here. Fortress Maximus, Chrome Dome, Hardhead, Highbrow, Brainstorm, Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, Sure Shot, Crosshairs, Point Blank, Monster Bots, Rapungus, Grotesque, Double Cross, Shatter Shot, Strife, Nose Cone. All right, and Trigger Happy, Skull Crusher, Slug Slinger, which are all Decepticons, and the one that I'm most sort of focusing in on for this particular copy of this book is Scorponok. So the next movie, of course, is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. They've been talking about Predacons. Scorponok is a Predacon. He's also a very strong leader, right? You know, he's one of those kind of just below Megatron guys. When Megatron disappeared, I think he did take over a big fraction of the Decepticons and, you know, attacked Autobot City with it. He can transform into a huge base in this book. There's all kinds of stuff, and it's, you know, I could definitely see him being one of the Predacons that they would bring into focus, right? Not just a little bit of a background character, but Scorponok is quite a popular Decepticon and a popular Predacon. So I'm gonna say, there's a really, really strong chance that Scorponok is gonna end up in the next Transformers movie. I was reading a little bit online about it. Seems like the director is wholeheartedly in. He says he's a Transformers fan. Um, he said he liked Bumblebee, but it was a little toned down for him. He wants to like ramp it up the action and really throw a lot of stuff at it when he does Rise of the Beast. So that's good. That's all. That's I want to hear that kind of stuff from a director. Let's see. Let's go all in. Let's do another huge, you know, Michael Bay explosion action style Transformers movie, but with a better story, hopefully. Anyways, and definitely better CGI now than what they originally started with in this movies. Yeah, so I think this one is pretty cheap. I can find lots of copies. I believe I pulled this one out. Oh, excuse me. I pulled this one out for $1. Can't count that because I've had this in my collection for quite a while. Like, this is a must-have if you're a Transformers collector, just with all the first appearances that are in it. Of course, I am a Transformers collector, so I have a copy of this. I found the whole set for $1 a piece at one comic show one day, and yeah. So, but now prices have risen. Oh, they're so expensive. They're at the $5 to $10 range now. You still might be able to come across one in dollar bins other places. Nobody's really looking at the Headmasters. This is a continuity story. Okay, this takes place in the same continuity as the original Transformers run for Marvel. And yeah, with all the first appearances that are sitting here, especially focusing on Scorponok, who is going to be it's Scorponok. He's cool, and then of course they're going to put him into the next movie as a Predacon. Well, I mean, can't say of course. It's still all rumors. We don't know who's going to be in the movies, but the pretty high probability that Scorponok will be on the Decepticon side. All right, so from 1987, it is Transformers: The Headmaster #1 from the limited series, and yeah, look to pay somewhere around $5 to $10 for that guy. Sweet. Okay, moving right along. We're going to move up to the 90s, 1991 to be exact. And I am going to bring up from 1991, Doctor Strange #31. Right, so in this we have the first appearance of the Fear Lords. I'm going to spoil some Shang-Chi stuff here. It's been a few weeks since the movie's out. I'm not feeling too bad about that. And so we saw that the Dweller in Darkness was in Shang-Chi, and he is also a Fear Lord, right? And we've also had rumors about Shuma Gorath, about Nightmare. These are characters that are also Fear Lords, right? We've talked about the Nexus of Realities and stuff like that in the multiverse that is also guarded by one of the Fear Lords, right? So you're getting a lot of the characters. They all have their own first appearances, but they all come together as a big team as the Fear Lords here in Doctor Strange #31. If the Fear Lords do end up showing up as a group, right, when you have the multiverse starting to break down, lots of things can happen. Characters that like Shuma Gorath can come in from their own personal dimensions, and maybe there's another iteration of Dormammu that comes around, or whatever it is. Fear Lord, right? I like this as a sweet pick. It's generally in mint condition. It's going to go for the $5 to $10 range. It's not completely an unknown book, being the first appearance of the Fear Lords, but and it's also an Infinity Gauntlet crossover. In case you were wondering, there's the little Silver Surfer story in there, but then it kind of goes into your stuff with all the Fear Lords and whatnot. But yeah, that's the first time that they appear together, and I don't know, you're starting to see too many rumors about these different characters, and then now we've even actually seen one of them in an MCU movie, right? I mean, he doesn't look, in Shang-Chi, he doesn't look like the comic book character, but he's very much like the comic book character, right? How he acts and the name and everything like that. So I was pretty convinced that he is one of these Fear Lords here. And like I said, lots of rumors about Shuma Gorath. We spec'd on his first appearance a long time ago when it was still a dollar bin book. other ones, you know, different Fear Lords. Despair, Nightmare, of course. His first appearance is, you know, jumped up incredibly much, just based around the idea that he might be in Doctor Strange too. But we can see a whole bunch of these guys coming from their dimensions, making an appearance in Doctor Strange 2, perhaps kind of putting their heads together, their evil heads together to come up with evil plans, how to destroy the multiverse or whatever that they're going to do, whatever bad guys, you know, get up to. All right, so from 1991, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, number 31. And yeah, look to pay around $5 to $10 for that. First appearance of the Fear Lords. Okay, so number 3 on our list. And this one comes from 1990. And it is the Ghost Rider number 2. First appearance of Blackout. So I got this guy's here, right? But there's the 2 different variants there. See, they have different treatments on them. So this not for resale. Oops, sorry. This not for resale is what came inside Marvel Legends figure, right? So that's just a reprint from later. I got both of these books put together for $7.50. So there's still lots and lots of rumors persisting about the Midnight Suns movie. And one of the rumors is that Blackout, who makes his first appearance in, you know, I can't really count this reprint as a first appearance, well, that his first appearance comes in this book, right? You know, I thought it was kind of cool to get both these, you know, get the reprint with it as well for such a cheap price. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be able to find it for $7.50. I thought I got a pretty good hot deal on that one from the flea market. I don't know if the guy really, you know, follows MCU specs or anything like that. So yeah, first Blackout could be the main villain in a Midnight Suns movie. He's sort of a very demonic kind of guy. He could definitely be in there with Lilith, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff that can, you know, happen in, you know, that sort of movie, especially with this guy. Most of the time you're going to look to pay about $10 to $15 for, you know, a copy of this Ghost Rider number 2. And you know, like I said, I got a bit of a deal there, picking these both up for $7.50 together, you know, both for $7.50. But you can go online, you can find this $10 to $15. I think it's a good one to put in your back pocket. Every time we hear a little bit of a Midnight Suns rumor, we get a spike in a few of the Ghost Rider appearances that they first started in, right? You get that Ghost Rider 28, which there are a lot of copies of that. Polybag doesn't, if you're buying a copy of that Midnight Suns first appearance, don't trust, just because it's in a polybag does not mean it's near mint, right? That book could have been sitting on somebody's bed. Somebody sat down on top of it, right? Just kept it in the bag. It's all full of spine ticks or whatever. So be careful when you're buying it in the poly bag. If you're interested in CGCing that, I believe they take the bag right off of it anyway. This book I think is, you know, we're following a rumor, but you know, Midnight Suns in general is a rumor. But for, you know, if you come across it for $10 and it's a nice copy, it's worth putting in your back pocket in your collection, just in case, 'cause, you know, if Blackout is the one that ends up becoming the villain, if there is even a Midnight Suns movie, I mean, there's lots to kind of say, yeah, right? They're kind of putting into this darker sort of tone with some of their stuff, like Scarlet Witch's Disney Plus show. Towards the end, it was getting pretty dark for a lot of it, right? There was a lot of like crazy dark stuff going on in there. So they're not afraid to do that, get more magical with stuff. They're really bringing in magic hard now, not just Doctor Strange, but all kinds of characters are starting to use magic. And you know, Ghost Rider would fit into that. I know he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think that that it's going to be the same Ghost Rider. Anyway, yeah, so from 1990, it is Ghost Rider number 2. The Spirit of Vengeance rides again. Look to pay about $10 to $15 for a copy of that guy. Nice blue cover on there. Watch for the spine ticks, and like I said, there is a reprint that's part that came with a Marvel Legends figure. Definitely a lot less of these if they were printing them out with Marvel Legends figures. Marvel Legend, Hasbro puts out a lot less figures than they do the Marvel prints comic books. You never know. I'm not sure how many figures Hasbro releases on their release dates that would include a comic. Okay, so number 4 on our list. And this book, it's a spec on a movie it seems like everybody's totally forgotten about. We got way too distracted by Venom and Spider-Man Homecoming and what was going on in Disney Plus, and everybody's just like, oh wait, yeah, there's that other Sony movie coming out there, right? Morbius, right? The Living Vampire. This is not the Undervalued spec book, right? Oh, I remember when I bought this. I bought this at a flea market for $12 one day. That was a good buy. That was a good find. But yeah, he's got a movie coming up, and his release date is like towards the end of January. Good actors that are in it and everything, and Matt Smith is going to play the villain Crown, and Crown's first appearance comes here in SpiderMan number 76. All right, so Crown, aka Hunger, makes his first appearance here. This book, if you're not familiar with, it gets a lot of confusion with Spider-Man 4 as being Hunger's first appearance, but that Spider-Man 4 came out like 2.5 years after this book did. It gets confused because of this treatment. This book here is number 76 in that original line that started with McFarlane's books, but they put out the regular and the gold and the silver covers, right, with Spider-Man in that classic pose. That's this original run. That other run was started in 1999, I believe. Right? It's a completely separate run. They get confused, I guess, just because of that. The way the font they used in the treatment at the top is exactly the same, but they were doing a bunch of weird stuff with this series and jumping different fonts for, like, 1 month it would be this and the next month it was odd. It was an odd thing to do, but they definitely so don't be confused and go out and buy that issue number 4 from the other series saying, oh, this is the first appearance of Hunger, because it's not. I mean, I think maybe he changed his name to Hunger in that, but that's not a first appearance of a character. If all they're doing is changing their name, no, right? That's not a first appearance. That's not a key book. Right? Lots of characters have changed their names over the years. That's not a key book. Don't go out and spend a bunch of money on that one. However, his first appearance of Crown, or as Crown, he shows up here in Spider-Man number 76. And yeah, he is going to be the big villain in the Morbius movie, and played by Matt Smith, who of course played Doctor Who. My wife tells me he was also on Downton Abbey, I think. Interesting. Never seen it. Anyway, this book is sitting still cheap. $5 to $15 for a mid copy of this book. Still on eBay, you can find it. Nobody's paying attention to this movie. They dropped the trailer a little while ago, and then things got pushed back because of COVID, and theaters were shutting down, so they weren't sure they're going to release it. So like I said, things get pushed back, and it just kind of is going under the radar. I guess they're going to have to really push it up right after the Spider-Man movie, but it's like literally coming out a month after Spider-Man, Homecoming. So yikes, like they don't have a whole lot of time there to get their movie off and running, right? And hopefully, they can take over Spider-Man's box office with it. But, could turn out to be a very, very good movie. We have no idea what can happen in that movie. Yeah, but here, like we've seen, Morbius's first appearance really take off in price over the last little bit since that movie was announced. But yeah, the villain character has yet to take off at all, right? And we don't know what'll happen. We don't know if he'll be killed. He's a vampire-like character as well. Of course, you want to have your protagonist and your antagonist sort of matching in power, so that there's some chance that the villain could win, right? Like the hero might lose. That creates tension. That's what creates drama, right? The chance that it would is if they just easily overcome everything. Of course, it's not very exciting. It's not very good. So, yeah, from 1997, it is Spider-Man from the original McFarlane series. Look to pay $5 to $10 for that guy, and yeah, that's a nice mint copy of that of a upcoming major movie villain. Right, January 22nd, 2022. 2222. All right. Next book on my list, last book on our list today, and we went back to the very, very early Bronze Age for this one, 1971, and it's the Submariner number 38, Submariner Special Origin issue. So this is the Submariner's origin retold, originally told here in this guy. Of course, with the price of this book taking off and like crazy right now, it starts to get itself way priced out of a lot of people's collectible budget. This is a nice alternative. The retelling of this special origin issue, quite a bit of drama going on in the Submariner, especially in this issue. Of course, he's always big drama in the Submariner issues. You know, this issue here was, man, when did I bought this for like $10, and it's not by no stretch a mint copy, right? But for $10, I was like, yeah, I found it at a flea market, and I was like, you know what, that's worth way more. This should be worth way more. It was this book that started me on my whole journey with undervalued comic books. I was doing undervalued comic books for quite a few years before I actually got on YouTube. You know, before I hit on the idea of like, you know what, I like doing this. I'm sure a lot of collectors like doing this. Anyway, that's a little aside. Let's talk about Submariner number 38, the retelling of Submariner's origin. Right, we've seen origin issues take off in price. I mean, they're never going to be as pricey as a first appearance of a major character. They're probably not going to. It's probably third in line, where you're looking at maybe even fourth in line, right? If you had first appearance of a major character, first appearance of a villain, first issue of something, then their origin, right? Kind of be the hierarchy of pricing, the way prices are. But yeah, I was going online. I was looking at, you know, pretty nice copies of this. Remember, this book's from 1971. It is 50 years old. You know, I got this one. It is pretty nice. It's got a couple little spine ticks right here, right at the staples. Other than that, man, it's cool. A little bit of blunting in this corner. It's really, really nice copy of this book that I got for, I can't remember what I paid for it. I've had it for a couple years. Current prices, when I was looking at it, I've seen lots of them being sold online right now in the $15 to $30 range, depending on the condition of the book, of course. That's raw. I think that's a pretty sweet deal for like basically a Silver Age, you know, a 50-year-old book that you can put in your collection that has an origin story from a major upcoming character. We all know the Submariner will eventually show up in the MCU. If they don't, Marvel will have a riot on their hands. Disney will be burned to the ground. No, don't do that. But yeah, Submariner, awesome character. A little bit of a hinting going on in some of the MCU stuff about Wakanda. There was a big war between Atlantis and Wakanda, of course, and there was a little bit of hint that that's coming. So I'm pretty confident that the Submariner is going to show up. And yeah, like I said, with this book really starting to price its way out of people's price range. Yeah, you definitely want to pick, if you're interested in his origin story. I mean, you could go all the way back to the original Golden Age story, but I mean, you got to have some deep pockets for that one, right? That's a Bill Everett classic, and yeah, you definitely have to have some deep pockets for the original Submariner. But yeah, you gotta have some pretty deep pockets, you know, nowadays for this guy too. And you know, third on the list, if you're looking at that origin story, it is Submariner number 38 that you can find from $15 to $30. So from 1971, Submariner number 38, origin story retold. Oh, and here's something like, you know, when I'm looking at books, let me take it out of the top layer, show you a little better. You can see that 6 written on there. One of the things that I like to do is if you find that books that have grease pen on them tend to remove a little bit. I mean, you can't always get all of the pigment off the page, but you can definitely make a big improvement to them. But if they've used something like felt pen, yeah, no way, it soaks right through everything, and there's no removing felt pen, right? But a little bit of grease pen, it's not I always find it not to be the worst thing in the world, and you can kind of haggle with the price. Well, look, it's got a big thing right on the cover, but you can make quite a nice improvement to it anyway. Or a comic book cleaner can do quite a bit with a grease pen, as opposed to not really being able to do too much once you've got a big, Sharpie on there or something like that. Anyway, so that's been our 5 undervalued books for this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, I really appreciate the sub, and thanks everybody for watching. And of course, we'll have more videos in the future coming up, every Friday or every other Friday from now on. And I just want to remind you, Wednesdays might be old comic book day, but every day is new comic book day. My name's Dave. This is Mr. Miracle Comics. I'll see you next video.